Welcome to Texas Death Row, the final waiting room, where each cell holds a name, a story carved in blood, betrayal, and violence. But what crimes led them here? Let's peel back the layers on the most dangerous inmates still awaiting execution. Starting with criminals charged with domestic violence. In Travis County on April 3, 2002, Guy Allen fatally stabbed his ex-girlfriend and her daughter after she tried to end their relationship. He had a prior fatal stabbing in 1994. Allen has been on death row since March 24, 2004. But Allen wasn't the only one. In Dallas County, another killer's rage would leave a family shattered. In Dallas County on March 27, 2011, Cade murdered his girlfriend and her teenage daughter while they slept. Armed with a kitchen knife he kept hidden under the bed, Cade stabbed both victims multiple times during the early morning hours. Both women died from their injuries. He had previously served time for sexual assault. He's been on death row since September 6, 2012. On February 29, 2000, in El Paso, Rigoberto was babysitting his girlfriend's children when he stomped on the stomach of her 19-month-old son, Nicholas, causing fatal internal injuries. He claimed the 4-year-old brother might have caused the death, but medical experts testified otherwise. He was sentenced to death in May 2001. But Avila's case pales in comparison to what Cedric Ricks would do next. In Tarrant County on May 1, 2013, Ricks attacked his common-law wife and her 2 young sons during a violent altercation. Armed with a kitchen knife, he fatally stabbed the woman and her 8-year-old son and seriously injured the 12-year-old boy with 25 stab wounds. Ricks fled in the victim's car and later called family members to confess. He was arrested in Oklahoma and has been on death row since May 19, 2014. In 2011, Brown shot and killed his ex-wife in front of their children in Hunt County. The crime was reportedly over a custody dispute. He has been on death row since June 10, 2013. But perhaps no case is more twisted than Kimberly Cargill's. Cargill murdered Cherry Walker, a woman with intellectual disabilities, just before she was due to testify in a child protection case against her. After the murder, Cargill set Walker's body on fire. She was sentenced to death in 2012. Moving on to criminals charged with sexual assault. In Jones County on July 16, 2016, while already serving a 25-year sentence, Compton sexually assaulted and murdered a female correctional officer at the Robertson Unit in Abilene. He's been on death row since December 13, 2011. But prison wasn't the only place where predators struck. In Baytown, another case would reveal horrors even more twisted. In 1992, Cruz Garcia kidnapped and murdered a 7-year-old boy after sexually assaulting the child's mother. The victim's remains were found in Baytown. Cruz Garcia remains on death row. In 1975, Jenkins raped and murdered a woman in her San Marcos home. Decades later, DNA linked him to the crime while he was in prison in California. He's been on death row since June 14, 2013. But the nightmare didn't end there. Another teenager would vanish, and this time it was more calculated. Cubas was convicted of the 2002 abduction, sexual assault, and murder of a 15-year-old girl in Harris County. He has been on death row since 2004. If you're finding this eye-opening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Don't go anywhere, because there's more. Now up are criminals charged with homicide. And then there's Jaime Piero, Cole, who turned a simple custody handoff into a double homicide. In Harris County on February 4, 2010, Cole shot and killed 2 people during a late-night argument while returning his sons to their mother's home. Armed with a .22 caliber pistol, he fired multiple times, killing both the woman and a second victim who tried to intervene. He's been on death row since November 23, 2011. In Harris County on September 13th and September 30th, 2010, Ward strangled 2 victims to death on separate occasions. The victims were an unknown male and an unknown female. Ward had a prior record including robbery, aggravated assault, and drug possession. He's been on death row since March 13, 2020. Then came the summer of 2021, when tragedy struck. In Harris County on June 30, 2021, Davis committed a brutal triple homicide, taking the lives of an adult male, an adult female, and a 6-year-old girl. The victims were shot and killed inside their home. Davis, who had a prior record including aggravated robbery and burglary, was 28 years old at the time of the murders. He was later arrested and sentenced to death. He's been on death row since May 15, 2025. In Dallas County on September 6, 2012, Franklin used a fake identity on social media to lure a teenage girl. He drove her to a remote trail, shot her twice, then killed her by stepping on her neck. Davis had a prior theft conviction and was a suspect in a past case involving the victim. He's been on death row since November 21, 2013. But for the next killer, the target was a child, and the motive, vengeance. In Harris County on August 19, 1992, Austin murdered a 9-year-old boy named DK. Years later, in a letter, Austin admitted to slashing the boy's throat, blaming anger over a drug-related theft involving his brother. He's been on death row since April 25, 2002. But Austin wasn't alone in his fury. Another killer acted more brutally. In Dallas County on March 17, 2009, Harris carried out a violent home invasion in broad daylight. He entered the residence, held a family of 6 at gunpoint, and searched for valuables. During the chaos, a struggle broke out, and Harris opened fire with a Glock 40, killing 2 Hispanic men. He had previously served time for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. He's been on death row since June 13, 2012. In Tarrant County on September 21, 2021, Thornburg killed 3 people and set their bodies on fire in a dumpster. He had a prior conviction for evading arrest and has been on death row since December 5, 2024. Next in line, we'll cover criminals involved in robberies that have turned fatal. In 1996, Barty killed David Cook to steal his red Harley-Davidson motorcycle in Bexar County. Evidence presented at the trial led to his conviction. Barty has been on death row since September 3, 1998, and then it started with a red Harley. In 2009, Batiste targeted Horace Holliday for his white Cadillac. After shooting Holliday multiple times outside a club in Houston, he led police on a high-speed chase. Batiste was sentenced to death in 2011 and remains on death row. Still, for some, it wasn't about vehicles. It was about opportunity. And Alan Bridgers took it. Bridgers was convicted in 1997 for the murder of Mary Amy in Tyler, Texas. He shot her in the throat and fled with her purse and car keys. Arrested 5 days later in Florida, Bridgers confessed to the crime. He has been on death row since May 1998. In 2004, Carter murdered an 89-year-old man during a robbery. He suffocated the victim with duct tape. Sentenced to death in 2010, Carter remains on death row. Then came a gas station stick-up that turned into something far more deadly. In Tarrant County on March 23, 2010, Rockwell fatally shot a store clerk during a gas station robbery. A delivery driver, also hit, died 2 weeks later. Rockwell and his co-defendants stole $2,000 and fled after pouring gasoline through the store. He's been on death row since January 30, 2012. In Nueces County on October 2, 2013, Green was stopped while driving a stolen vehicle. He opened fire on the officers with a .45 caliber handgun, fatally shooting a 38-year-old deputy. Green had a prior record including aggravated assault and drug possession. He's been on death row since July 3, 2019. Does the death penalty bring closure, or does it simply continue the cycle of loss? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Stay safe, stay informed.